Hey guys, Steel Ovan here. So you might notice this is a little bit different than usual. This video I'm going to be going over some pictures of knives that I used to have. These are all my pictures that I've taken. This is not a very good example, but that's what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to be giving you guys the reasons why I got rid of these knives. So this first one here, this is a Matt Bailey PFB. First reason I got rid of it was the small size. Very small knife, 2 and a bit blade, and I've just been going for bigger knives, so this one is getting moved for that reason. Too small. It's already sold, but whatever. Blade stock on this guy was also kind of thick. Wasn't a fan of that for how small this knife was. The blade stock was unnecessary. And another reason, the G10 backspacer that was on it, there was like some give in it, and it was like not quite flush at the back because it was such a thin piece of G10. It would have flex in it. Just not my favorite. Also, the action wasn't my favorite. It was a little bit kind of gritty opening, closing it, even after closing or cleaning. So I'm not sure what caused that, but I just didn't like that. Also, the centering was always off, despite my best tries. I think it was just a little bit of a warped blade, but that was not something I liked. So that was the reasons why I got rid of this guy. Apologize for the picture. This was just the only one that I had. So here's the next one. This was the Benchmade 761. I got rid of this guy. Mostly detent. The detent on this guy was super, super light. Very light lock bar tension, and just there was like no detent holding it in. And I had it come open in my pocket a couple times. I was like, this isn't happening. So I moved it. I like these other mods that I'd done. The pocket clip, the over travel stop, and whatever. I liked all of that. I liked the size of the knife. Just the detent was just rough on it. Also the lockup with this weird changeable stop pin, adjustable stop pin, and the like stop for the lock bar. I just didn't like how that all interfaced and adjusting it. Didn't like how that went. Also, once again, this guy was off-centered and not correctable. I think probably from a warp blade, but it was that way ever since I got it. So let's get on to the next guy. Next guy, Sebenza 21, beautiful knife. Didn't like the polished satin on here. It kept me from carrying it. It looks really good in this picture, but in person it was like a hand rub, and it showed wear like crazy. So it was keeping me from carrying it, and I just didn't like that about it. Liked the knife overall, but the reason that I got rid of this guy here is because I bought a 31 with my Carta inlays, and that was going to replace this one and actually get used. So this one's neat. I like the pattern and everything. Just wasn't getting carried. This guy is an XM18. This is my working one and the working finish. And this one I got rid of because I got the exact same knife in the blackwash finish. I wanted to try out the blackwash finish. This one was the Gen 4, and it just had a little bit of like detent lash. When the blade is closed, you can move it up and down, and I wasn't about that. So those were the reasons I got rid of this guy. Great knife though, served me well. Here is the Jason Clark Mini Hunter that I custom ordered. Same deal, super polished bolster, kind of kept me from carrying it, didn't like that. Love the Damascus was super cool. And just the overall profile of it just didn't really do it for me. Once I had it in hand, I didn't like it. And this 3 finger choil thing here just didn't work. I didn't really understand it. My fingers never lined up, and were kind of too big for it. So just wasn't my thing. Also, this whole knife was tiny. The smallest knife I think I've ever owned. I mean, not like ever owned, but flipper knife. This thing's tiny. Also, the screws are like a very small screw. I forget if it was like a T6 or something, but I was just worried about stripping them out. How absolutely minute these screws are. So for those reasons, that's why I got rid of this guy. Here is my Lumen Blades custom Sentry that I ordered. When I first got it, it was cool because it was like one of the first customs that I'd ever purchased. It was used. It was a good price, but it was kind of a hot mess, honestly. The blade was cut like not deep enough. It left like a really wide secondary bevel there. So I opened it up with a thumb choil or a finger choil there, and it kind of helped. but you can still see it's really thick behind the edge towards the back. It's an uneven grind. Also, the blade stock was super thick. The handles were also super thick, and like this dimension here around the pivot was just too tall. It was like not really a comfortable way to hold this thing without using the finger choil, and this is too gradual here, so it kind of pushes your like hand towards the back of the knife. Just not my favorite. Didn't like the pocket clip. I liked that it had Damascus on it and was kind of neat, and the hand rub was pretty nice. But it just, for those reasons, it got sold. So there it is again. This one I talked about in knives that I'm going to sell, that video. Same with this one. This is another one. This is the Dustin Turpin custom Insight that I got. So the reasons that I got rid of this guy, I liked certain things about this knife, but from pictures, it looks pretty good here. But when you get it and turn it on its side, it is so thick. The handle is just a chunk. It's so thick. So is the blade stock. It's very thin behind the edge, but the blade stock is just ridiculously unnecessary, even for my standards. The blade, same deal, and it was just too chunky in all the wrong places for me. The handle shape wasn't all that bad, but it was just too thick a carry. Also, the jimping on the flipper tab was kind of sharp for no reason. And lastly, Dustin Turpin has some controversy that I was unaware of. I think he stole some money from people and disappeared. I didn't do any research on this, so I'm sorry if I'm getting the facts wrong. But anyway, there was some controversy, and most people were kind of steering clear of him. And I was unaware of that, so I took a serious loss selling this. But I just didn't want to be anywhere near that. I don't want to support that. So this is the Curtis F3, the medium. This one got sold because pretty much it just wasn't as good as an XM18 and costed more. So I didn't like the proprietary pivot that much. The overall around the pivot, super tall once again, and this gradual slope, same like this Luma, pushes your hand to the back and makes the handle smaller than it has to be. Also, the blade thickness was a lot thicker than a Hinderer, I think. And just the ergonomics were not as good. The traction was not as good. And it just aesthetically wasn't something that I liked over a Hinderer, and the Hinderer was cheaper by almost half. So that was the reason I got rid of that guy. Also, another reason, once again, centering. I couldn't get centering to work on this guy, mostly because of the custom pivot, I think. And also just maybe a warp blade or something, I don't know. So that guy was gone. And here we go. This is the Tough Knives Zircuti mini switch that I ordered. Really cool knife. This Zircuti is totally killer. I wish this thing was like twice its size. It was just too darn small for me. I was expecting a switch, and I got made a mini switch, and it's just too small. It's a really beautiful knife, but I couldn't do it. It also had a couple of sharp spots on the back that kind of dug into my hand a little bit, and the like jimping on the back of the flipper tab was kind of rough, which I was actually able to solve that pretty much myself. But like for anything I would have done, I cannot make up for a knife just being too small. So that was the reason I had to get rid of this. Maybe I'll get something else made that's bigger and similar. Beautiful knife, just not my preference. So this guy, Emerson Horseman, mini CQC8. This guy, I just didn't like it better than my other two Emersons that I have. I had the Gentleman Jim and the Sheepdog. And this one, just the profile didn't really do it for me. This was super tall, once again, like here to here. I thought about grinding the flipper tab off and maybe some of this, and eventually it just got sold. I just wasn't about it. Also, the handle to blade ratio is wonk on this thing. If you look at how big the handle is for how small the blade is, I don't know, something about it just proportionally, I can't like it. So for those reasons, I got rid of this guy. This guy is the Benchmade 940. This is the Hodgepodge with a 20 CV blade and the JG10 scales from the two exclusives that I swapped around. No reason to keep this guy over the other one that I built with the M4 and the KnifeWorks exclusive scales. I like that one better, so there's no reason to keep this one around. And I also have a 943, which I also like better than this, so there's no reason to have three of the same model, and the two that I liked better I kept. Kershaw Launch 11, cool, pretty cheap little auto, and there was just no reason for me ever to carry it. I was always carrying other stuff, and it's a very small knife once again. So it was fun. It's a great knife, just too small for my liking, and just wasn't getting carried. This is the Para 3. I got rid of this guy because I bought a Native 5. The Native 5 was lighter. These brass scales didn't help anything, but it's just much lighter, better traction plan. This has no traction plan. The blade steel is LC200N on the Native 5, which I like better than this M4, which patina's up. I tend to, take preference of corrosion resistance over pure edge holding ability, just personally for me, for where I live. So basically the Native 5 just kicked this thing out. There was no reason to keep it after getting that. This guy I talked about in the other video of knives I was going to get rid of. Pretty much just the 450 and the 470 were better knives than this, in my opinion. Just my preference. This guy is the ZT801, I believe. Got rid of this guy. I just didn't like how swoopy it was. I couldn't really tell you why, but just aesthetically, I didn't like it. I didn't like the big zero tolerance billboarding there on the handle. This milling pattern just kind of bugged me. I tried it with a different scale, didn't like that, and I just never was carrying it. I was always picking something different, so it was just one of those knives that got sold. Benchmade Buckout. Awesome knife. I like my 943 better. It's just slimmer, this profile. Every bit as light. It's got aluminum handles, which I like better than these kind of wimpy plastic handles that move all around, make centering hard, and are just more of a hassle. Also don't like the color red. Even though it has black in it, it's still red. I got rid of my other red knife, and this one's next on the chopping block, so got rid of this guy. Maybe I'll get another bug out, in 20 CV or something, and carbon fiber. I don't know. We'll see. But that one got sold. So next up, the American Blade Works, the V6 flipper. This one I got rid of because, well, really there's a couple different things. I mean, it was a really good knife, really good working knife. I just straight up, I wasn't carrying it. I had other knives that I was carrying over this one every time. I don't like this ABW pivot. I think it's kind of corny and annoying. Also, just for whatever reason, I just couldn't bring myself to carry it. Another reason, the pocket clip is only a single screw holding it in, so it would move side to side. It would not stay fixed in one location. It would just loosen up despite how tight you tightened it down. Also, the action for this one was kind of gritty. Despite my best efforts to make it better, it stayed gritty, even after a long break-in period. So next one, Paramilitary 2. This is my S110V1. Got rid of this one because I have a Maximate Paramilitary 2 with G10 that I like way better. So that one got moved. This one we already talked about. ZT450. Got rid of this because it has this polished show scale on there. Didn't like that. Would scratch up easy. And this handle is too small for me. I liked it when I first got into folding knives, and I didn't really know how, wasn't paying attention to how I was holding a knife. And this one was just too cramped. These cutouts just kind of cram your hand. So it was just not my thing, and I liked the ZT470 a lot better. So I sold that one, kept the 470. Next up, the Hinderer XM18 3-inch. This one I did a bunch of mods to. Beautiful looking blade. Loved it. Just once again, small. I like the 3.5-inch Hinderer better. And I also have a 3-inch Wharncliffe that I have, and I like the Wharncliffe blade shape better and the stonewash finish better. Even with all these mods, I like it a little better, a little bit cleaner and more usable design. And I had less money into the other 3-inch. This one I had more money into, so I sold this one, made my money back, and kept the other XM18 3-inch I got for like $200. So that's the one I'm going to keep for that price. You cannot beat it. It's a Gen 4, but it snaps, has a very good snap and action to it and everything. So that's the one I chose to keep over this guy, even with the tri-way and the, mods. This is just another picture of the Paramilitary 2, the titanium one. I had it dressed up in purple with these milling circles in it and changed that. Just thought it was a cool picture I should include. Irrelevant to everything. All right, so this next one, this is the Ultratech, the RSK one that I had, the red one. Sold it because I don't like red. I built that new blue one with the black blade, black hardware, and that one kicked this one, out the window. So that I have no regrets about this one. Like the blue one way better in every way, and the user one that was with the other parts. So that one got sold. Here is the Three Sisters Forged Beast. Reason I sold this guy: super thick behind the edge. As you can see, very wide bevel. The blade stock thickness was pretty thick for the size of knife that it was, and just the overall blade shape or handle profile was okay. It's a small knife and very chunky, and it just wasn't getting carried over something bigger, and I don't know, just better suited for the job. This seemed to be a middle ground that wasn't great at being strong or like carry. I don't know. It didn't do it for me. Also, the detent on this was very light, and I was just carrying other things. So that one got sold too. And I think that is actually the last one. So I'm gonna wrap the video up there. Hope you guys like this format of video. I hope the sound worked out and everything. I'm trying a new setup here. So if you like the video, leave a like, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, if I should do more of these or whatever. And I hope you guys will have a great rest of your day. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.